Hey guys, welcome back. So today I thought I would finally build our gates for our garden. So right now I've kind of got this temporary little gate stapled up here. It's just a piece of cattle panel and it has worked good enough to keep the dogs out of the garden, but it isn't keeping the rabbits out. So today we're gonna go ahead and build us a nice simple gate. We've got two little walk-in gate entrances we need to build. But the little spin we're going to put on this one is that we're going to try to make it self-closing. I've bought a little bit of extra hardware for these gates that should make it so that they should kind of spring close on their own, and I won't have to worry about accidentally leaving the door open to the garden. So let's go ahead, we'll get a couple measurements and we'll start building our gates. So we'll measure the top and the bottom and see how far off they are. So it looks like the bottom is about 1/4 inch smaller and it measures 36.5 inches. So I'll probably make this door about 36 inches. So I've got about 1/4 inch gap on each side of the door. I think that'll work out. So the basic frame of our door is going to be just a half lap joint. So we'll go ahead and kind of get this laid out here and check it for square. So I'm just going to put one screw in the center of each joint for now. Wow, it's way off. So I'm going to do my best to make sure my two pieces are exactly identical. Alright, so these two are really close to being exactly the same. Check our other two. Alright, these things are about the same, exactly the same, so ready to try to put this together again. Try this again. I'll measure corner to corner just to double check. 74 1/8, 74 1/4, so within 1/8 of an inch. I think that's good enough for a garden gate. Well, to be thorough, we'll go ahead and put some screws through the other side. All right, that's the basic frame. Now we're going to put a brace across the middle. Just going to lay this out underneath where it looks halfway decent. I think like there, it looks pretty good, so just mark it. So we'll go ahead and cut it out where we marked it. Oh yeah, there we go. It's a little snug. It's exactly what we want. Oh, pull it out, go figure. So for this cross brace, I have some 4-inch long screws. You can tell they're still not quite long enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a 1/2-inch hole. I'm going to drill it about so deep, you know, what is that, 1.5 inches deep and then that'll fit in there a lot better. So. Okay, and what we're going to do is we'll just end up putting 2 of those on each end of this brace. So you know how it is when you buy hardware before you build anything. Sometimes it just doesn't match up right. So obviously this side of the hinge is wider, and the top of the post is the same height as the door. So I've got to put the top of this hinge at the top of the door here. So that makes this not really line up perfectly. And then one of the screw holes ends up being right where the 2 pieces of wood meet. So it's just not going to look perfect, but that's the way it's going to have to be. So this is one of those self-centering drill bits. It's just not big enough for this hinge, but it ought to get me close. Use that self-centering bit just to get them started, and then use the right size bit. So how tall should a door handle be? Somewhere around 40 inches maybe? Somewhere close to that. Okay. Oh, look at that. That screw's coming out there. I got to redo that one. There we go. Better. So the last piece of the door is going to be some garden fencing on the back side. So I'm attaching this with some narrow crown staples. Now I did end up finding stainless steel staples for this gun. So these are outdoor rated. All right, I think our garden gate is finished and ready to be hung. Okay, let's see if we can get this door hung in the right spot. We'll have to come up a little bit. Well, I go to hang my door on there, and turns out that the bottom board sticks out farther than the post. That's right where my hinge is supposed to be. So I think I'm just gonna put a 2x4 on the face of this post. That way everything is the same on this side, and I'll have to put a 2x4 on the face here, and then everything will be on the same plane, and I think it'll work out better. Just something I didn't think about. Okay. I don't think this is going to end up being perfect, but I'm going to go ahead and put one screw in this. So now I'm going to try to put one screw in the bottom and basically just see what it looks like. Okay, so my gap along the side looks pretty good here. Well, I think that's about as good as that's probably going to end up looking. So it's a little bit low on this side, it's a little bit high on this side, so just kind of split the difference a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and put the rest of the screws in. So if you're wondering why I'm screwing these in by hand, it's because it's actually a number 3 Phillips, and I couldn't find one for my drill, so I had to use a manual screwdriver. So what I need to do now is I need to make something for this door to be able to stop against. So I'm just going to use this little piece of wood here. I'm going to screw that to this post and basically make a door stop, and that should work. Okay, that should work. So now we got the door hung, it's time to put on the mechanism that'll keep it closed. So let me show you what I got. So this is what I ended up buying. It is a door gate spring from National Hardware. It's basically a really long spring, and then it's got mounting hardware on each end of the spring. So the way this works is this is supposed to mount on the same surface as your hinges do. So it's got to go on the front of the door with the hinges. And one end of the spring will attach to your door, and the other end of your spring will attach to the same surface as the other side of your hinge. And basically, the way I understand this is going to work is when you open the door, this spring is going to bend. It's going to want to just straighten back out, and it's going to want to shut your door so that it goes back kind of straight. And then there's an adjustment at the top. There's kind of a nut here at the top, and you can tighten the spring a little bit, and that may improve the action. We'll just have to wait and see how that works, but let's go ahead and get mounting this spring. So the way the drawing on the box shows is it shows to put the adjustment nut at the top and put it on the door side. So that's what we'll do, just like the drawing. So the next thing we have to do is this spring actually rotates in here freely, and we have to tighten that spring and then lock it in place. And it comes with this little piece of metal to slide behind here that'll lock it. So we're going to tighten it a little bit, put that piece of metal in there to hold it, tighten it again. So I'm supposed to be able to tighten this a total of 3 flats max. I think I'm just going to go 2 because it does seem fairly tight. So that's 2 flats. I've slid that piece of metal behind there. And now this door should shut on its own. I may just go ahead and do the max. Let's tighten this thing way up. Alright, so we've got this turned to maximum of 3 flats. We've got our locking piece of metal jammed in behind there. And I think just the tension of this wanting to turn backwards is going to hold that piece of metal in there. And as you open the door, I think this is actually going to get tighter and tighter. And that's why it wants to spring back shut. So let's try it out. All right, moment of truth. Open the door. And it shuts itself. All right, that works. So I think I'm happy. It is dragging the ground just slightly. Maybe as the grass gets taller, this may not want to shut as easy. But yeah, I think that's going to work for garden gate. And I think this auto close thing is going to work out pretty good. So it's a little weird how this little spring looks and works, but it seems to do the job. I just don't like how it's dragging on the grass. Obviously, my door is almost too low to the ground. So I'm pretty happy with the way this garden gate has turned out. So I know this isn't like a real fancy gate or anything. I mean, it's just made out of 2x4s. It's a real simple design. But if you just look at it, it fits, right? I mean, it fits in with our fenced-in garden. It just looks like this is the right gate to put on this garden. It just looks like it belongs. Now, even though it is a simple gate design, I did take the time to do half-lap joints in the corners. So that was pretty time-consuming, getting those boards notched perfectly so we could overlap them and screw them together. Now the only thing I probably could have done to make it stronger is if I would have put some like waterproof glue on those joints, like maybe some Gorilla Glue, and that would have really made those corners strong. I just don't have any on hand. I'm gonna have to pick some up. But overall, I'm pretty happy with the way this door looks and everything. Now the spring, that was pretty simple. Getting this door to become a self-closing door, that ended up being a simpler task than I thought. Just all it is, just mount that spring on the front, tighten that nut up a few flats, and now we got a self-closing door. That's a pretty simple, easy fix, and it seems to work good. So yeah, I think I'm happy with the overall design, and now it's time to build a second one because I've got to put one on the entrance on that side. But the sun is already like real low on the horizon and the day is almost over. So hopefully in the next couple weeks I'll get some free time and I'll build a door exactly like this one to put on the other side. But for tonight, I think I'm done for tonight. I'm ready to relax. So I hope you guys all have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.